Unlike the practical and master ranges, where we provide separate punch and shear and RBR tools, the XL range has the XL5 Plus Power Bender. It's the ultimate multifunction tool for both ornamental metalworking and general fabrication. It has 5 plus standard features, but boasts 5 optional extras to enable it to do so much more. For the money, this makes it the most versatile hand-powered metalworking tool on the market today. Once you've taken the tool out of its box, follow our comprehensive instructions to set the tool up to work safely and reliably. Taking careful note of all the safety instructions. Start by assembling the main handle. Then fit the centre slide's main adjusting screw and make sure the bolt is aligned to avoid the handle catching on it. Next, make sure the teeth on the power transmission are properly lubricated. To do this, the guards must be removed first, but always ensure this is done by a competent person and the tool is not operated without the guards in place. The XL5 Plus can be bench mounted. However, the bench should be very sturdy and, where possible, bolted down to the floor. To overcome this, you can use our optional extra mounting pedestal, which is designed as an ideal workstation for this tool. The tool has a flip-flop base to allow it to be locked in both vertical and horizontal positions, depending on which function is required. It is also supplied with a special measuring bar to provide accurate cutting and punching. So if you're going to mount the tool to a bench, we would strongly suggest fitting the measuring bar as shown here to take full advantage of this feature. The dual punch block provided allows you to punch either 5mm or 6mm holes in flat bars. The block is stamped with the corresponding sizes to identify which way up it needs to be fitted, together with its matching punch pin. Before you start punching, you need to ensure that the hole you want to punch will be down the centre line of the steel bar. This is done by adjusting the platform according to the width of bar being used. Punching is so much quicker than using a drill and more practical, particularly when the hole is on the circumference of a tight curve or scroll. To operate, you simply pull firmly and smoothly on the handle, and there you have it, a hole punched through solid steel. To protect the pin, always support the weight of the steel bar during punching, and make sure the handle is fully retracted before removing the bar from the punch block. The measuring bar facility has a reference pointer, which allows you to measure the position of a hole from the end of a bar or from the centre of another reference hole. The tape measure carriage has an upright metal edge on which a pointer is located. Simply roll out the tape measure to the required distance. Then either place the reference hole over the pointer or rest the end of the bar against it. Then pull the lever to get your accurately positioned hole. The shearing feature makes this tool a useful guillotine for hot-rolled black mild steel. It will cut flat, square and round bar. To do this, simply slide flat metal bars into the lower aperture and operate the handle to achieve a good, clean cut. The small fixed cutting blade has 4 cutting edges, so that when one edge becomes totally worn, you can swap it round to extend its life. The small blade is also equipped with 2 special adjusting screws that should be routinely adjusted to maintain the quality of the cut. If you're making scrolls with your cut lengths of bar, cropping the corners of the bar provides a neat and professional finish. An extra feature on this tool is a separate shearing aperture for square and round bars. This has been designed to provide a better quality cut. As with punching, you can use the end stop of the measuring bar carriage to ensure all your cut lengths are accurate. Whilst many capable fabricators and ornamental metal workers will use welding equipment, we provide the riveting facility because it's quick and easy for joining metalwork together. It's also handy when you're working off-site without access to power, and it's perfect if you want an authentic looking wrought iron joint. To set up the tool for riveting, make sure it's in its horizontal position and all attachments are removed from the bending face. Then fix the 2 rivet posts in the correct holes and make sure they're screwed down tightly. If you're using a round-headed rivet, simply place one in the punched holes where 2 or more bars need to be joined together. Then line up the rivet between the 2 rivet posts using the dimple in one of the rivet posts to locate the head of the rivet. This will prevent it from slipping off. Operate the lever to put an initial squeeze on one edge of the rivet. Then repeat this on the other edge with a final squeeze in the centre of the rivet. This swells the rivet out to form a very strong and inseparable joint. For those using flat-headed rivets, simply carry out the same procedure but work near the top of the rivet posts. The XL5 Plus will roll curves and circles and works with an impressive range of flat and square steel bar thicknesses. To achieve this, there are 3 different side roller positions. For lighter gauge materials, you attach the side pillars with their drop-on sleeves in the innermost positions. Then you fix these down using the top washers. Next, you fix down the winding handle into the correct hole in the centre slide and tighten it down firmly. Then adjust the height of the sleeve to match the width of the bar and lock it in place. This ensures that the curve or circle stays flat during rolling. To start rolling, feed one end of the bar into the rollers. Then apply gentle pressure on the long lever and keep it in this position whilst you operate the winding handle to drive the bar through the rollers. Then you increase the radius by increasing the pressure with the long handle and again maintain the long handle's new position. Again, you then drive the bar back through the rollers in the opposite direction. You simply keep repeating this process until you've formed your desired curve or circle. To roll larger steel bars, you fix the side rollers in the middle set of holes. The winding handle sleeve height is then adjusted to suit the width of the bar being rolled. You then roll using the same technique as before, but to help maintain the radius pressure on the bar with the long handle, you should use the adjusting nut. This also can be used to set a particular rolling radius if you need to create identical rolled sections. As you will have noticed when rolling long sections of bar, it can sometimes be easier to roll with the tool in its vertical position. When rolling sizes at or near the maximum working capacity, you need to set the side rollers in the outermost rolling position. The flat bending face of the tool is protected from the rigours of rolling by 4 replaceable toughened wear strips. With the winding handle adjusted, you then roll heavy bars using exactly the same technique of setting and maintaining the radius pressure using the adjusting nut. The results are very impressive and allow you tremendous scope for making curved components and ornamental features. As with the rolling function, the bending of a wide range of bar sizes is achieved by using the 3 different bending pillar positions. For smaller bars, fix the 2 side pillars in the innermost position. Then fix the angled bending head into place in the correct hole in the centre slide and tighten all 3 down firmly. Now drop your bar between the pillars and the bending head and operate the lever to achieve the desired bend angle. For repeated bends, you adjust the inner nut to set the angle you wish to duplicate. For larger bars, you move the two side pillars to the middle position. Then with the bar in place, simply operate the handle to bend your chosen angle. And if you need to achieve a really tight bend, you can use the drop-on sleeves as shown here. If you want to bend even larger bars, you simply set the side pillars to the outermost bending position. Reasonably tight bends can again be achieved by dropping the sleeves over the side pillars. However, if this is not enough, you can use offcuts of bar as packing pieces to make the bend even tighter. With bending capability like this, you can see why it's called the Power Bender. Now let's take a look at an addition to the XL5 Plus bending capability. For one-offs and specials, it is really useful for bending even larger sections. It can also handle a wide variety of material profiles. To set the tool up for this, we move the side pillars to the extreme outer positions and use the curved face of the bending head as shown here. To bend flat bar on edge, for example, you place a flat bar in between the side pillars and bending head and operate the handle using the adjusting nut to set the curvature of the bend. Then slowly feed the bar along incrementally and keep repeating the bend and the bar starts to take shape. Curvature can be increased further by use of the drop-on sleeves. This technique can be applied to a wide variety of sections, such as square bar, angle, channel, square tube, square bar diagonally, plus many more such as T-section and handrail material. The possibilities are endless for including these shaped profiles and many others in ornamental ironwork, frameworks and countless other applications. As we mentioned earlier, the XL5 Plus can be mounted onto a sturdy bench. However, for best results, we would recommend using our optional extra mounting pedestal, as it's the ideal workstation from which to use this tool. The pedestal should ideally be positioned with plenty of space around it to allow for working with long bars or making large metalwork panels. When the best place is determined, the pedestal should be fixed firmly to a solid floor using heavy-duty bolts. It's also supplied with two self-assembly steel bins for storing surplus components in and prongs to hook surplus rollers on. The embossing and end forging kit is a must for ornamental metalworkers. The embossing feature allows you to produce patterned edges to bars and is done without heating the bars up. You have a choice of two patterns on opposite faces of the blocks to produce either scallop edges or sharper nicks. To set up the tool, you need to remove any components from the bending face and fit the special embossing and end forging blocks in the position shown, using the main bolt to tighten each block down and the long rear bolts to stop the blocks rotating. put sharp nicks into the edges of flat bar, you place the bar between the two blocks and feed it through in increments, operating the lever each time to emboss the pattern into the edges. Another great looking effect is to put nicks into the corners of square bars. In order to do this, special guide rails are provided in the kit to help hold the bar whilst embossing. These are fitted and aligned as shown here. With the guide rails set up, you locate your square bar and feed it through incrementally, as required. Here we're embossing pairs of nicks on alternate corners. To produce an attractive scallop pattern, you swing each block through 180 degrees and tighten down the main screw and rear fixing screw again. Again, you feed the bar through in stages to create your own preferred pattern. And whilst this pattern cannot be formed on square bar, you can create an interesting hammered effect on square tube instead. The end forging element of the kit allows decorative crimp ends to be forged on the ends of bars. It's the only process on any of our tools that does require heat to initially taper the end of the bar and then again to forge the crimp patterns in the taper. The result is really stylish fish-tailed ends that look great in any wrought iron projects. The setup for forging is similar to embossing. Depending on the width of the bar being forged, you select either the large or small fishtail patterned and fix the blocks in position accordingly. When fixing the blocks down with the central bolt, you leave the rear fixing bolt out to allow the blocks to rotate slightly during forging. Next, you fix the guide rails onto the tool and carefully adjust the height so that the tapered bar aligns with the crimp pattern on the blocks. Our instructions give details of the required taper you need on the bar for best results. This is achieved by heating the end of the bar and hammering it on an anvil before leaving it to cool gradually. With the heat source as close to the tool as possible, heat the tapered end of the bar until it is white hot. When ready, move the bar quickly but safely onto the guide rail and position it so that the end of the taper lines up with the end of the pattern on the block. Without hesitation, operate the lever to crimp the end and then release and leave the bar in a safe place to cool gradually. For larger bars, the wider taper pattern is of course selected. As well as flat bars, square and round bars can also be tapered and end forged to produce fantastic scroll centres and decorative features on gates, fences, furniture and lighting, to name but a few. The edge bending kit is a bending pillar that is specially designed to create smooth bends in a single pass when you need to bend flat bar on its edge. This is particularly useful kit for those making frames, straps and specialist components. The pillar has a large and small recess machined at opposite ends. The smaller recess is for thinner bars and the larger for thicker bars. For thinner bars, you bolt the edge bending pillar on the centre slide with the small recess at the bottom. Then fix the pillars in the middle bending position and make sure everything is tightened down firmly. Then, by operating the handle, you can bend angles up to just over 60 degrees. By swapping the pillar over so that the large recess is on the bottom, you can bend thicker bars, but you will need to move the side pillars into the outer positions. To get an even tighter angle, you can use a drop-on sleeves if necessary. This option pack gives you the ability to roll round bar and tube into curves, arches and circles. Again, this is great for those ornamental metalworkers making items such as furniture or lighting. However, it is equally useful for producing a wide variety of components in general fabrication work. The kit is made up of a special winding handle and 5 sets of specially grooved rollers for different tube or rod diameters. Each set comprises a drive roller which is fitted to the centre slide with a winding handle plus 2 slave rollers which are bolted to the bed of the tool using a special sleeve. They're fixed in the middle position for smaller diameters or the outer position for larger sizes. Ensure all rollers and sleeves are well lubricated before use, but make sure the grooves on the rollers are kept clean of any grease, dirt or oil. Tube or rod rolling is then carried out in exactly the same way as conventional rolling. You feed one end of the tube into the rollers, apply a little pressure with the long handle, and then maintain that pressure by using the adjusting nut. You then drive the tube through the rollers by using the winding handle, remembering to support the roll tube to prevent it from drooping. To overcome the unavoidable flats at each end, you can overlap the roll circle and remove the flats with a saw. By welding the ends together, you then form perfect rings. When rolling larger diameters, use the outer side roller location and use the tool in its upright position to avoid the need to support its weight. Last but not least is our micro bending option pack, which has been designed for those wishing to bend angles that are so close together they cannot be bent using our single pass bending function. Examples of where you might require this is in making hooks or pegs or things like decorative collars, which are often a very stylish feature of ornamental metalwork. These collars tend to be used to mask welded joints and are often made from what is known as collar bar, which come in a range of sizes and profiles. This kit is designed to work with the 2 most popular profiles, as well as flat bar. It comprises a number of spacer plates which are bolted onto the bending face of the tool. They're assembled in order according to the type of profile being used. Here, we're setting the tool up for the raised centre collar bar or flat bar. You take your marked out piece of collar bar material and place it in the bending tool, where you want to make your initial bend. And then operate the long handle. Then simply line up where you need to make the next bend and pull the handle again. You have now created a strap which can be finished off by hammering the open side over to make a classy looking collar. With a slight variation to the arrangement of the micro bending components, as shown here, you can also bend twin edge profile collar bar.